Bad camera angle there. Just put it back where it was before.
Okay, guys. Just catching up with the breaking news. With regards to Mikel Arteta, has been diagnosed with tested positive for the coronavirus, and this is big news. This is big news, not only for Arsenal but for the Premier League and for all concerning football. What does that mean in terms of the staff that he's been around, the football players that he's been around? The likes of Aubameyang and Lacazette. Basically the whole Arsenal team. They probably would have to go into lockdown and go into self-isolation for the next 2 weeks. That simply means then that they're going to miss the game against Brighton this Saturday. We've already rescheduled or haven't rescheduled the game against Man City, so there's going to be a massive looks like fixture pile up, and this is going to have massive knock-on effects with regards to the Premier League. And I suppose the big question is will the Premier League end up being suspended, and will we get to the end of the season? If you think about it, Arsenal played West Ham last week, so there's going to be concerns there because they were in contact with him. Remember, at the time, he wasn't exhibiting no symptoms or anything like that. And from what I understand, once it's in your system, it doesn't come out straight away. So this is really going to be interesting. And now, Boris Johnson came out and said about the sporting events will go ahead as normal. Now with this coming up now, what does that mean in terms of the sports and that? This thing is proper spreading fast, and it's obviously affecting all the different football teams in the Premier League. And obviously abroad, you've got the likes of Juventus, Real Madrid. Those games are being postponed. The Man City game against Real Madrid, that's postponed. It's crazy at the moment. Don't know what to make of it. This is stuff of biblical, proportions here in terms of what's going on. And mate, I'm just it's worrying times. It's worrying times. But the way I look at it is that life is more important than people kicking 22 people kicking a leather ball around on the pitch. And I think they would have to go into isolation just to prevent this thing from spreading from more. You've got other sporting events like the London Marathon that's gonna end up probably being affected, and the whole of Great Britain is thrown into chaos. Premier League is thrown into chaos, and where do we go from here? And we talk about the European Cup. Is that going to go ahead? Listen, comment. What do you think? Where do we go from here? What does that do for Liverpool's title push? We know that they're going to end up winning the title, but it's not going to be the same. If they have to end up playing in a stadium that's empty, or if the league ever finishes. Really don't know at this moment. Watching on Sky News as we're speaking, the Leicester players, some of them have got to go into isolation because they're showing symptoms of the coronavirus. This is just seems to be going on, and it seems like it ain't going to stop. So I don't know what to say at this particular moment. And when it comes to life, when it's so fragile. We think that we're above it, but something like this, which is a pandemic now, affecting everybody across the world. You've got Italy in total lockdown. You've got the Irish Prime Minister coming out today. Where schools are going to be closed for the next 2 weeks. It's not good. Even in my work situations now, we've got to be, reading a document to the customers before we actually approach them. And I even had a case myself today where a customer rang me and said, look, they're in isolation for the next 2 weeks. So fortunately, I didn't have any sort of contact whatsoever. So they were good enough to phone ahead and just let me know the situation. So this is right on our doorsteps, and we have to really think about how we go about our daily lives. You know, I've never seen anything like this. You know, where it's affected sports in this kind of volume. I don't know what you're thinking. If you want to leave your comments or chat live, tell me what you're thinking. So this is going out live, hopefully, and just tell me what you're thinking. Type a message and just say what your thoughts are, and how do you think the Premier League should deal with all this situation. What do you think? What do you think? I'm lost for words. I'm lost for words. But we just have to see now what they do in terms of putting things in place. I don't know what is people saying. What are people saying? What are people saying concerning this? I think, I don't know. Do you stop it now and just say Liverpool is the Premier League? It's going to be quite tarnished because it's not going to be celebrated because this whole event is going to take more precedent over Liverpool winning the Premier League for the first time in 30 years. So it's going to take the shine off of it. But as I say, this is a massive problem, and it's affected everybody in every walks of life, and it's no respect of persons, whether you're a rich person or someone that's living just above the breadline. It'll affect everybody. We know it's quite vulnerable. The older folks are quite vulnerable to this, and so we got to make sure that we're talking to our older folks and just reminding them to just try and keep themselves away from large crowds and just protect themselves. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is massive. When I saw that, and my phone just blew up. When the news came through with regards to Mikel Arteta, and you just don't think it's going to land. But then when you think about, they were in contact with I think it was Olympiacos that they played, and I don't know how long. I don't know if somebody can tell me how long it takes for the incubation period. But they played Olympiacos about 2 weeks ago, and from what we understand, the Olympiacos owner, who also owns Nottingham Forest. He was tested positive with that, and there was a number of players and staff that were in contact with him. Maybe Mikel Arteta was one of those persons that was in contact with him, and he didn't show any, or he didn't exhibit any sort of symptoms, because they ended up then playing West Ham last Saturday. And how many people did he come into contact with against West Ham? So you can see there's going to be a knock-on effect. Does West Ham players now say, right, what, we got in contact with him? You got the West Ham manager who possibly shook hands with Mikel Arteta. They put a sat down and a drink together. Does he go into self-isolation? Do you know what I mean? Because once you've come into contact with a person that has this disease, then they're saying basically just to secure, go into self-isolation so that you don't end up spreading this infection, because it does, as you see, it's spreading like wildfire at the moment. So the likes of the F1 that's been affected. I think the golf that's also been affected. So many sporting events have been affected by the whole of this. So guys, all I can say is that we pray that Mikel gets through this, and that it won't have any devastating effect on his health or anything like that. I mean, people obviously describe it as obviously flu-like symptoms, and most occasions they get through it. But for the much older folks or people with underlying medical issues, it can turn to pneumonia and affect the breathing. And so, we just hope that it doesn't get to that stage with any of the players or even Mikel Arteta and whoever else is being affected. I even heard that Benjamin Mendy, who plays for Man City, he's one of his family members is end up going into hospital because of that as well. So yeah, it's affecting loads of people, and this thing is gonna spike. We hear of about 400 to 500 cases, if not more, but really the real numbers are basically, I think the real numbers are in the hundreds of thousands who are affected by it. But because some people are not exhibiting the symptoms, it's very hard to tell. So I don't know. Let's hope that, as I said, this gets sorted out quick time and resolved. But I don't know what the future holds for the Premier League and for all football relating stuff, because it's going to have such a massive knock-on effect. You've got the Spanish league that's been suspended, the Italian league is suspended. It seems as if now the Premier League may have to follow suit. They're going to meet now, an emergency meeting, so we're going to see what the outcome of that is going to be. But it's going to be really interesting. So, guys, look, I'm going to end it here now. But look, let's make sure that our prayers are with the Mikel Arteta and the Arsenal team, and anybody that's come into contact with the Arsenal players and the Arsenal team, that they get through this and we can move on from this. Listen, I'm going to end the stream here now. So please, as I said, leave your comments and we'll see where we go from here.